No company should ever allow themselves to be acquired by Microsoft.
Microsoft has had over 15,000 layoffs in this year alone. Almost 7,000 of them are under Phil Spencer and the Xbox division. People are calling out Phil Spencer as well as the Microsoft management for being the worst leadership ever. Salam, my name is Mustafa. I am a game developer. I currently work on indie games, which you can find on Steam. I have worked in the game industry at Treyarch during the development of Black Ops 4 and at Zwift. Digital Foundry, who are best known for their very in-depth hardware analysis and breakdowns, have straight up said that getting your studio purchased by Microsoft is a bad deal.
If you're a gaming company, don't do it. Stay out of it. It's a bad deal. People were saying this during the Activision stuff. Everyone that supported that was wrong completely. If we supported it, we were wrong. This was a big mistake. All of this stuff.
We've seen this for years though, and anytime people have been saying it, there's always the naysayers who say, oh, you're just a Sony fanboy. We've seen many canceled games under Microsoft, such as Scalebound, Fable Legends, Everwild, Ghostwire Tokyo 2, Hi-Fi Rush 2, Halo Battle Royale, Dishonored 3, Project Blackbird, which is ZeniMax's MMORPG, whatever Gears of War game Black Tusk was working on, and the Perfect Dark game that just got canceled. When it comes to the studios that Microsoft has acquired and benefited from, there's only a handful that we could probably point at and say, yeah, they benefited from Microsoft purchasing them. For example, Ninja Theory probably would have had to close their doors if it weren't for Microsoft purchasing them. Though even though they got saved from having the doors closed, they haven't had any hit success since Microsoft has purchased them. In fact, they lost the founder of Ninja Theory, Tamim Antonitis, under their watch. Purchasing a studio has led to Microsoft failing more times than they have succeeded. Not only are they losing some of their key talent and their studios are shutting down, but they've been mishandling their key IPs such as Fable and Halo. Here's my analysis as to why things are falling apart under Microsoft. First of all, they're getting too big and the studios they're acquiring are too big. This leads to very high budget costs for the projects that they work on. When the projects they're working on are so expensive because the studios are so big, then the expectation for it to break even is much higher. When games are sold by unit rather than a live service that has microtransactions, you could only sell so many of those units. You could only get to so many millions. And that's why these large studios are preferring live service, because the ceiling for how much money they can earn is much higher. The popular thing that YouTubers are saying about overstaffed studios is that they're hiring a lot of employees who are unskilled and have no idea what they're doing. And while that could be true, that is not the fundamental problem with an overstaffed studio in game development and software development. Because even if they weren't hiring a bad staff and they were hiring the best of the best, the fundamental issue is that when the team gets too large, when the studio gets too large, then things start falling apart. There are diminishing returns. When you compare a game like Assassin's Creed Shadows, which was developed by multiple studios and hundreds of Ubisoft employees, including contractors, which brings the number up to thousands of people, and then compare that to a game like Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which was developed by less than 100 people, you see that the quality does not go up just because you have more people working on the game. The reason why there are diminishing returns with how many people you have working on the game is because of communication. The way how software development works, there's constant communication within the small teams that you have working on the different segments of the game. And they have to communicate within themselves just about on a daily basis. And they have to have inter-team communication and communicate within the other teams, and a lot of that communication has to do with decision making. So when you have larger teams, the meetings end up taking longer because you have more people in the team, and when you have more teams, then you have more meetings. When you have longer meetings and more meetings, then you're spending all your time on meetings rather than actually making a game. Since there are diminishing returns with these projects, the projects aren't as good. We're seeing big budget games that cost more. They're upping the price for these games. The quality and the value are not increasing. They're actually decreasing. We're getting less value and the quality is mediocre at best. In addition to the high budget, the overstaffed studios, the diminishing returns, the lower quality, we're also seeing a lot of games that people don't want to buy or spend money on, such as live service games. I've made multiple videos on themes that are found in media that are unappealing to the mass audience, such as the lack of masculine and strong male characters. The push for these unappealing themes is also backfiring on them. This is also a smaller factor, but it is a factor. Some of these layoffs have to do with studios trying to get rid of remote workers. In 2020, a lot of the studios started doing remote work or hybrid schedules. And now a lot of software development studios have been trying to push for everybody to get back into the office. And part of the plan to do that is doing mass layoffs just so they can have a clean slate and hire new employees that are local so that they have to come into the office. I completely agree with Digital Foundry. It is a bad deal to have Xbox buy you off. It's always a tempting proposal to work really hard to building a great studio, and then a big publisher comes by and says, hey, we're gonna give you fat stacks of cash to buy your studio and your IP. It worked really well for Notch when he sold Mojang and Minecraft to Microsoft. This man is set for life. But if you're not getting the same deal that Notch got, then it's definitely a bad deal to sell your studio to Microsoft and have them manage you and your company goes under. Tell me what you think Microsoft's next move is. My personal thought is that Microsoft is going to phase away from hardware and they're going to only focus on Game Pass as being their primary platform, like the Netflix of gaming. They're going to really push for Game Pass so that people can purchase that subscription. And they really benefit a lot from people purchasing that subscription because of the fact that they can pull the plug on those games at any time. You don't own the games when it comes to Game Pass. You're renting the games. I personally don't predict that they're going to release too many exclusives on Game Pass if they do go this route. I think they're going to continue doing multi-platform releases. But overall, I don't see them sticking around with hardware too much longer. I just don't see them making another Xbox console. If they do, maybe one more, but I don't see them making more than one more Xbox console. YouTube has changed the algorithm up, and apparently they're only counting views for a video if the view has engagement. I appreciate you getting this far, so if you can also leave a like or a comment, I'd really appreciate that. If you want to support the channel, check out the links in the description below. Thanks, take care, salam.